You know, every day we trust teachers to care for our children, not only to educate them, but to ensure their physical safety when we're not able to. Today, we have two cases of broken trust. First, parents in Maryland are outraged after learning teacher Susan Burke is accused of assaulting first graders, kicking, punching, and even choking these 6- and 7-year-old students.
You don't expect this to happen to your kids while you're at work. It's ridiculous.
If that will be my child, I'll be doing something, I think, legal.
Yeah, that would be assault because he's like 6 years old. Why would you want to choke a 6-year-old child?
Cops arrested Burke on 9 counts of second-degree assault on a minor. That's half of her class. Her neighbors, though, weren't even surprised. They tell Prime News affiliate WUSA that police have been called to her house several times for domestic disturbances. Joining me tonight, Captain Paul Richard Starks of the Montgomery County Police Department, and our education experts, Bob Bowden and Kathy Aru. Kathy, former high school substitute teacher. Captain, let me start with you and these children. Sometimes it's difficult to get them to tell what happened. How graphic, how specific did the children get with what they allege happened here?
Well, thankfully, these allegations, while serious and the investigation is complex, it was pretty simple and pretty easy for young people that age to say, hey, listen, I was kicked, I was punched, she put her hands around my neck, she choked me. That was enough for investigators to dig deeper and ultimately get a total of 9 victims reporting similar stories.
9 victims, Bob Bowden. Obviously, as soon as something like this happens and it's reported, the school is going to take action. But I'm wondering, isn't there a way to figure this out before 9 children get assaulted?
Well, I think it depends. First of all, remember, this woman deserves her day in court, and that should be preserved. But still, the fact that amazed me in this story is that there are 9 different first graders that all have been choked, actually all of them, and that's not counting others who said they'd been kicked, punched, and scratched. And of these 9, in fact, much of it happened the same month. So it is an amazing story if it's true, and it sort of shows some of the dysfunction going on in monopoly public schools, which is why we need school choice.
Kathy Aru, I look at this story and I'm wondering, my goodness, do we have to come up with a way to monitor our teachers? Do we need cameras in all the classrooms and have someone monitoring what's happening all over? Because to put someone in charge of 6- and 7-year-olds and to have that happen, they're getting choked by their teachers. I mean, these kids may never trust a teacher again.
What's crazy is that this happened at a public school. Public schools mean the teachers are certified and they are evaluated. Principals and vice principals did visit her classroom and were watching Miss Burke teach. So the fact that she took classes, got certified, knew right from wrong, knew that she wasn't even allowed to touch a student on the shoulder. That's what we're taught when we're certified. Don't even touch a student on their shoulder. It's not appropriate. The fact that she learned all of that and was evaluated and was considered a teacher fit to teach in the classroom is beyond me. I don't know how she made it through the system.
Captain Starks, the other part of this is if there were calls to her house, domestic violence, do we know any of the details of what those cases may have involved?
You know, Vinny, she is a teacher in Montgomery County, but she lives in an adjacent jurisdiction, so I'm unfamiliar with those calls.
All right. Appreciate your time tonight, Captain. Now, to our second case of a broken trust. A high school gym teacher in Ohio steps down after being accused of having sex with 5 students, some of them players on the football team. Oh, and the assistant principal also resigned after he apparently sent the same teacher sexual text messages. Police say Stacy Schuler had an inappropriate relationship with the students on 5 different occasions between August and December of last year. Parents were surprised.
I have a 15-year-old boy that's in the high school, and a girlfriend called me today and was wondering if it was him. And I'm like, absolutely not, because if it was, you'd probably see me on headline news going after. You trust your teachers and, you know, neighbors, family, and everyone, then something like this happens just makes you feel a little insecure where you live.
Now, the school superintendent says, just like many of our families and staff, I am appalled by the recent allegations involving Stacy Schuler. I have confidence in our nation's justice system and will watch what happens just like everyone else. Reporter Eric Schwartzberg joins me. He's with the Dayton Daily News, Warren County Bureau. Eric, here's what I'm troubled by. This is taking place not just on a single incident, but over the course of months. with different players. I've got to think that the students were talking, that they were speaking, that there were rumors out there. Any word that rumors were sort of percolating before any of this became public?
Well, Vinny, word had gone around that students were talking, but apparently nobody among those students, or parents for that matter, who may have heard about it, said anything to the school district until January 10th. That's when they received an anonymous tip and launched their own investigation in-house before taking it to the police department.
I'll tell you what, you take it to the police department first. You don't do your internal investigation. You call the police first, let them do the investigation. Kathy Rue, this is what bothers me because I know the way it works. It's not that long. All right, it was a long time ago. I was in high school. But my goodness, the kids talk, and I've got to think some other teacher had gotten wind of these rumors, and they did not come forward. I've got to think that's what happened inside this school.
I don't know. It is so rare. Honestly, when I was in the classroom, and I taught many years, when I was in the classroom, I had only heard of one teacher who crossed the line and took advantage of their authority, of their power over their students. Only one teacher. It's so rare that I cannot believe this teacher did this and took advantage like this of her students. It's really gross and rare. I only heard it once while I was in schools.
Bob Bowden, I mean, rumors circulate around a school. I've got to think that some teacher somewhere may have gotten wind of this, and they don't want to be the one to perhaps rat out a fellow teacher. And that's what really bothers me here, because this has taken place over the course of months, and I think those teachers have a responsibility, if they hear anything, to report it.
Listen, Vinny, I don't want to be accused of demagoguing one or two anecdotal cases to make a larger point about education policy, but let's face it. You have here an example of potentially 9 first graders being choked in Maryland, of 5 male students having inappropriate sexual contact with a teacher in Ohio. And look, this contributes to a larger sense when you aggregate these kinds of stories, that certifications of teachers, it's an absolutely absurd, broken system. It means nothing to be certified. You can't fire a bad teacher. And SchoolChoiceWeek.com, which just finished last month, underscores all of those things. This is a broken system where teachers are protected because the system is designed around the adults, not the children.
I'm afraid they might be protecting each other. Let's go to the phone lines tonight. Samantha's in Texas. Samantha, your thoughts tonight. These are horrible stories, horrible allegations.
This is just crazy. I mean, wasn't it just last week that we heard about the woman in the car having sex with the student in the car? This week, we got 5 football players. I mean, what's going on?
Yeah. Samantha, thanks so much.
What's going on is you can't be fired for behaving, for not doing your job, and it creates a general social space when mediocrity isn't punished. Then, therefore, worse behavior in anecdotal situations like this can exist.
Bob, thanks so much tonight. Kathy Rue, I'll give you 10 seconds to respond to that.
I disagree. These are very rare cases we're hearing about. The system has many great teachers.
All right.
So, this is rare.
That's true.
This is rare.
Thank you both so much. Coming up next on Prime News. Talk about busted. Cops say this woman used a fake ID to buy some fake body parts. Bet we got your attention now.
I was a little afraid. I mean, as an African American, I knew what my family